the savanna, life may find its source in the maternal bond. But the toll for persistence is testosterone. It is the fragile coalitions of the displaced ones. And the ceaseless pursuit of dominance. Along the southern border of Kenya, at the very foot of the majestic Kilimanjaro, Amboseli is an ancient basin, a former lakebed that now remains as nearly 400 square kilometers of stark and parched white salt flats. Nature in Amboseli reveals two contrasting faces. On one side lie the lush Nkongo Narok marshes, nourished by pure groundwater from the melting snow of the mountain peak. And on the other, the parched plains, where every drop of water is secured through profound resilience. In the center of this formidable arena, new lives arrive already bearing the seeds of a destined separation. African elephant. The environment in the Serengeti is demanding and highly competitive, especially for the mother and her young ones. During gestation and following birth, the lioness must temporarily depart from the pride. The sovereign must be born in complete silence. During the first month of life, the cubs remain nearly motionless. A faint sound or a stray scent could guide other predators to them. In your opinion, which trait is more vital for a mother lion during this stage? Ferocity or patience? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Once sufficiently resilient, the young ones emerge into the light to join the creche. This is where existence is shared through a weary calculation. Here, the young males learn their initial lessons in persistence. They develop their strength and resolve within a sanctuary of perceived safety. Preparing for a future where those who falter are not granted a second chance. Yet the creche is not established for the sharing of sustenance. Its true purpose is defense, the struggle against intruding male lions. But the Serengeti remains a demanding arbiter. Despite such protection, nearly half of the young will never witness the dawn on the savanna. For those who persevere, another profound transition awaits as the first traces of a mane appear. The decree of departure is enacted when the young males reach 18 to 36 months of age. For their presence introduces the potential for internal rivalry and the risks of lineage integrity. Only 1 in 8 males endure this interval to eventually secure a pride of their own. The one who prevails will transform the hardship of displacement into the fortitude required to claim the throne, and shall continue the epic of the sovereigns who never yield. But Amboseli is only the beginning, leaving the dust behind to venture deep into the south, where the parched Kalahari Desert is interrupted by a grand geological wonder. The Okavango Delta in Botswana. Geographically, the Okavango is a vast inland wetland system spanning over 15,000 square kilometers. This landscape receives billions of cubic meters of water flowing from the Angolan highlands every year. As the rest of Africa endures the searing dry season, the Okavango welcomes the arrival of the great floods, transforming trails into deep channels and dry stretches of land into secluded oases. For the indigenous Baye and Hambakushu people, the Okavango is where history is written through journeys on Mokoro boats weaving through the papyrus reeds. Yet, this aquatic sanctuary amidst the drought serves as a test of absolute adaptability. To endure, a certain predator has perfected the advantages of their remarkably disciplined social structure. Contrary to the laws of much of the animal kingdom, within the African wild dog pack, it is the males who form the majority. The male-to-female ratio ranges from 3 to 1 to 8 to 1. Every initial litter of the alpha female is programmed to favor males. This is because within the Okavango labyrinth, the pack requires an abundant force of hunters and supporters to ensure long-term persistence. While the females must depart the pack upon reaching 2 or 3 years of age to seek new horizons, the males choose absolute devotion. They remain with their original pack longer, even dedicating their entire lives to the legion that raised them. In the society of wild dogs, the position of the alpha male is elected based on leadership qualities and seasoned experience. A leader might lose a limb or retain only a fragment of a tail due to a hunting snare, yet the entire pack still defers to his command. Within the pack, the persistence of an individual holds little weight if the entire group cannot advance together. When undecided between commencing a hunt or remaining still, the pack will vote through rhythmic sneezing. Should the number of sneezes reach a necessary quorum, the collective will override the decision of the alpha pair. And if a warrior becomes incapacitated, the entire pack transforms into devoted physicians. Reproductive privileges may belong exclusively to the alpha pair. Yet to maintain cohesion, lower-ranking males, the loyal brothers, are occasionally granted the privilege of paternity. A strategic compromise to ensure these talented warriors remain to serve the empire. But not everyone chooses to remain. Usually, at approximately 37 months of age, coalitions of brothers from the same litter decide to depart from the pack. They traverse distances that can extend up to 240 kilometers. The peril intensifies threefold each time they venture into the domain of others. The loss of life reaches 75% within the very first year. This gamble is undertaken with a singular objective: to locate a group of females who have also recently departed their homeland. From there, they may together establish the foundation of a new empire. When the alpha female gives birth within the den, the males transform into the most capable guardians on the Savanna. They take turns remaining to safeguard the den, accepting encounters with hyenas to preserve the coming generation. The young are always granted priority to feed until they are fully satisfied. In Sabi Sands, nature does not reveal itself through vast open plains. The name Sabi originates from the Songa language, hlava, signifying peril. The history of this land is entwined with legends of ancient warriors who learned to navigate the vulnerabilities hidden behind every trunk. Today, Sabi Sands witnesses the unhindered movement of Africa's most elusive creatures. Here, no barriers separate it from the vast expanse of the greater Kruger. Every thicket holds a gaze, and every branch may serve as an elevated loft for a prize. Reigning over this realm of shadows is a solitary and formidable presence. Leopard. The male weighs 96 kilograms, nearly twice that of the female. His domain is an expansive empire, occasionally reaching 1,000 square kilometers within the demanding wilderness. It is masterfully structured to encompass the territories of multiple females. There he stands as a determined sovereign, securing every opportunity to perpetuate his lineage. Yet in Sabi Sands, the strong require more than the power to acquire. They need the fortitude to preserve. In a world abundant with those who seek to claim the harvest of others. The leopard has transformed branches 12 meters high into his personal larder. With massive jaw structure and powerful shoulders, he can transport a burden twice his own weight directly toward the sky. This is a vital strategy for persistence against the opportunistic forces lingering beneath the trees. Following a 106-day gestation, the mother leopard brings 1 to 3 cubs into the world. To evade the gaze of lions, hyenas, and especially the formidable presence of unfamiliar male leopards, the mother leopard must constantly relocate her young. Each day they may traverse more than 1.6 kilometers in search of more secure sanctuaries. A single lapse, an untimely call, and the toll will be an entire generation. Upon reaching 8 weeks of age, the instincts of an apex predator begin to awaken. Dietary needs transition from milk to meat, with consumption requirements rising rapidly. Initial meat intake represents only 25% of that of a mature female. Yet between the ages of 3 and 8 months, this figure rises to 50%. By 10 months of age, the young male leopard is taught the art of stalking and ambushing by its mother. During this phase, the young male leopard is granted a supreme privilege. Unlike his sisters, who often depart early to claim a portion of the territory, the male is permitted a longer stay until reaching 24 months of age. A strategic delay, 27% of the sustenance secured by the mother leopard during this time is dedicated to her growing son. He requires time and additional nourishment to reach his full physical potential and strength. So that as the second year approaches, it is the young male's own father who will usher him away from the territory. The leopard enters the most demanding chapter of his life, the nomadic phase. This is a vulnerable zone for a maturing male leopard. Only 41% of these wanderers endure this stage to establish a stable domain. The remaining 59% will fade into the dust of the savanna. A somber conclusion to the laws of natural selection. As the searing sun exhausts the final drops of moisture, the savanna leaves no room for the solitary. The quarry remains absent. Persistence is now measured by the strength of vital pacts. Coalition. Within the social framework, it is the lionesses who serve as the primary providers of the hunt. Yet this does not imply that the male lions are merely passive recipients of their efforts. During their demanding nomadic existence, these males must secure 100% of their own sustenance to persevere. The male lion represents the ultimate standard of fortitude for a warrior within the Unoto ceremony of the Maasai. Nevertheless, that distinguished mane renders them more conspicuous to others. They become masters of concealment within dense thickets, awaiting the precise moment for a strategic encounter. The probability of a single male retaining a pride is only about 17%, with a period of sovereignty typically lasting fewer than 12 months. This is insufficient to raise a generation of young ones. Thus, the formation of a coalition is the sole path for them to persist and pass on their genetic legacy. Based on kinship, coalitions are divided into two primary groups. Kin-based coalitions generally consist of brothers or cousins who matured together within a pride. Large coalitions of 4 to 9 males are invariably composed of members sharing ancestral ties. Within these expansive groups, reproductive opportunities are not distributed equally, but are centered upon a few dominant individuals. However, subordinate males accept this compromise based on the principle of inclusive fitness. By assisting their kin, they continue to facilitate the transmission of their shared genetic heritage. Conversely, non-kin coalitions comprise several males without ancestral relations, limited to a smaller scale of 2 to 3 individuals. In these instances, males share reproductive opportunities more equitably. They cooperate based on mutualism rather than kinship interests. In return, the immense physical stature of the males provides a distinct advantage during the formidable pursuit of mega herbivores. An assertive Cape buffalo. A towering giraffe, or a stray young elephant. None can be successfully overcome without the unified strength of a coalition. Above all, the ultimate objective of every coalition remains the acquisition of control over an empire, the female prides. And when the throne changes hands, a somber chapter begins. Infanticide. The conquerors will eliminate the offspring under 9 months of age belonging to the former sovereign. This is a strategy to encourage the lionesses to cease nursing and become receptive to new beginnings within just a few days. Occasionally, in an effort to conserve vital energy, the mothers themselves may engage in indirect removal of the young. They leave behind vulnerable offspring to await a more resilient generation in the future. The larger the coalition, the more enduring the dynasty. A coalition of 2 members maintains an average period of sovereignty for 18 months. A coalition of 3 individuals has a success rate for securing a pride of over 95%, with sovereignty extending up to 41 months. Notably, a coalition of 6 members, such as the legendary Mapogos, can reign for 50 to more than 70 months. This extended duration allows them to successfully bring forth and safeguard dozens of generations of young. While the sovereigns of the grasslands are preoccupied with their successions of power, to the east of the Serengeti, a different form of coalition is taking shape. These individuals do not rely on sheer force to establish their presence. They possess an instrument more elemental and refined. The name Namiri in Swahili translates to big cat. For 20 years, between 1994 and 2014, this region remained a restricted sanctuary for visitors to preserve and revitalize the cheetah population. This serves as the Formula One circuit of the natural world, where the level terrain allows the cheetah to reach its peak velocity without the constraint of obstacles. Yet, this openness also implies that no creature can remain concealed within the shadows. Only 2 paths remain: to be the subject of pursuit, or to become the one who leads the chase. The true prowess of the cheetah does not lie in solitary strides. It is sustained by the profound pact of brotherhood. Reaching maturity at approximately 2 years of age, females depart to embrace a solitary life. However, the males, typically siblings, choose to remain together for the duration of their lives, formally establishing a coalition. Should a male be an only son or lose his siblings, he may actively seek and align with other wandering males from different lineages. Occasionally, a coalition can consist of up to 5 members, exemplified by the prominent Tano Bora in the Maasai Mara. A coalition of 2 to 4 siblings represents an exemplary egalitarian society. This synergy elevates the success rate of the hunt from 25% for a solitary individual to an astonishing 60%. They do not merely pursue small gazelles, but can also overcome mature wildebeests or zebras. Consequently, sustenance is more abundant, and the cheetah is better equipped to manage the kleptoparasitism of hyenas or lions. Within the coalition, members maintain an exceptionally close bond. Should they become separated, they employ vocalizations that carry up to 2 kilometers to locate and reunite with their brothers. Cheetahs often share reproductive access to females with their partners in the coalition. This results in a state of paternity confusion. As many as 43% of cheetah litters born in the Serengeti have multiple fathers, an advantage that helps safeguard the young as the males refrain from harming offspring that could potentially be their own. However, within coalitions of unrelated males, a strict hierarchy still emerges. And if the established order is contested, intense internal disputes may arise. Situated in northern Tanzania, the Ngorongoro Conservation Area is a magnificent scar left upon the earth following a profound volcanic event more than 2 million years ago. With a basin covering approximately 260 square kilometers, this is one of the regions with the greatest density of wildlife on the planet. Featuring more than 25,000 large animals concentrated within a confined expanse. Geographically, Ngorongoro stands as the largest intact and unflooded caldera in the world. Within this basin, various species persist and navigate their challenges within this destined circle. This thermal contrast creates lush marshes interspersed with parched grasslands. The indigenous Maasai people call this place El Nkorlo Nkorlo, inspired by the sound of cowbells echoing throughout the basin. In local culture, Ngorongoro is likened to a Garden of Eden. But for hyenas, this resembles a prison of hierarchy rather than a sanctuary. If born to a mother of high rank within the clan, male hyenas immediately inherit a prestigious standing. Yet, as with many other social species, to avoid the complications of lineage integrity, upon reaching 3.5 years of age, approximately 85% of males are compelled to depart their home to join neighboring clans. Only 15% of those who stay with the group choose to remain. They accept the loss of prospects with younger females in exchange for a position of dominance over newcomers. The regulations for male hyenas are a dispassionate bureaucracy known as the Queuing Convention. The exiles, once entering a new group, must remain subordinate to all females, all young, and even the males who joined before them. This strictly follows a chronological sequence. Advancement is only granted when the individual ranked above them perishes or departs the clan. Psychological strain and nutritional scarcity. Life at the base of the queue is a succession of long days filled with scarcity and profound psychological strain. Those of the lowest standing must always wait until the end to feed. Fortunately, their formidable jaw structure and resilient digestive systems allow them to process even the most unyielding materials. Yet the toll for this persistence is a concentration of the stress hormone glucocorticoid that remains at heightened levels. They remain secluded, without supporters, and serve as the subjects of assertive conduct from the long-term residents. The relationships among immigrant male hyenas are generally characterized by endurance and limited physical confrontation. Males rarely engage in conflict to contest their standing. To alleviate tension and assess their connections, they frequently engage in greeting rituals. This is a high-stakes ritual used to affirm coalitions and establish a foundation for cooperation during formidable situations. Nevertheless, assertive behaviors may still occur, often initiated by established males to regulate the number of new arrivals or to secure access to sustenance. High-ranking and long-term resident males frequently strengthen their alliances with one another or with the dominant females. Their objective is to preserve the stability of the queue and discipline any lower-ranking male attempting to advance out of turn. The strategy for persistence among male hyenas ultimately centers on endurance rivalry. Due to the intricate biological structure of the females, any form of insistence is ineffective. The male must employ humility, deference, and seek the favor of the female over many seasons. On average, a wanderer must endure 2.4 years within the lower tiers of society before successfully fostering his first lineage. Those less resolute often depart after 4 years without achieving their goal. Yet the most steadfast individuals employ the shadowing tactic, consistently cultivating a bond with high-ranking females. They discourage lower-ranking rivals and safeguard her from unwelcome presence, awaiting a moment of acceptance to perpetuate their lineage. Situated in northern Namibia, Etosha National Park spans more than 22,000 square kilometers. Encircling its heart, the Etosha Pan, an immense salt lake that evaporated thousands of years ago, so vast it remains clearly visible from space. The legend of the Haikum people recounts that this basin was formed from the tears of a grieving mother after her entire village faced upheaval. Geologically, this was once part of an expansive lake system nourished by the Kunene River. Before shifts in the Earth's crust, caused the river to alter its course, leaving behind a 120-kilometer pristine white salt scar. Persistence here revolves around the waterholes. These are social intersections where species are compelled to meet. In Etosha, the pressure from those who seek quarry and the scarcity of resources have transformed zebras into entities with a social structure of unwavering discipline. The journey of a zebra prince begins within the safeguard of a stallion and the network of mares in the breeding herd. Depending on the lineage within their veins, the moment of parting arrives at different intervals. For plain zebras, between 12 and 25 months is when they must depart, often just as their mother welcomes a new life. For mountain zebras, the farewell occurs later, around the 22nd to 24th month. At times, the lead stallion will attempt to discourage his son from departing in a complex effort of preservation. Specifically for gravy zebras, the young may rely on their mother's presence until reaching 3 years of age. But sooner or later, as they step away from the maternal herd, these young males remain too inexperienced to establish an empire on their own. They choose to rely on one another, joining bachelor groups to counter the reach of the shadows lurking within the thorn thickets. Each day, the Etosha Savanna becomes an arena for spirited play fights. They simulate the most intense confrontations. These interactions follow a golden standard, the 50-50 rule. To ensure the play does not transition into genuine conflict and to maintain cohesion, each individual must have an equal opportunity to prevail or gain the advantage. This is how they learn to maintain equilibrium, acquiring the skills for encounter without harming the companions who will stand by them in the trials ahead. In this demanding realm, the vigilance of the bachelor zebra is always maintained at its peak. As time passes, upon reaching age 4 or 5, the drive to establish their own path awakens. They begin to discreetly lead away young females during their initial cycle or execute a direct succession, challenging and displacing the dominant male to claim the entire group. For Grevy's zebras, the contest is more territorial in nature. They will secure strategic lands of approximately 6 square kilometers near water sources, patiently standing like sovereigns, awaiting their queens to pass by to establish a new dynasty. If one were to select a place where existence evolves more rapidly than the stride, it would be the expanse stretching along East Africa. From the highlands of Ethiopia down to the basins of Kenya and Tanzania. The landscape here was fractured by geological shifts from millions of years ago. Here, adaptation no longer resides solely in physical strength. but within the intricate folds of the cerebral cortex. Within the cultures of local tribes and even ancient Egyptian mythology, the baboon serves as a symbol of wisdom and at times a figure of cunning resourcefulness. And in East Africa, the environment does not merely provide sustenance, it provides a political landscape. The arrival of the rainy season brings abundance, yet it also intensifies the level of rivalry. In a domain where adversaries may remain concealed within the foliage above, persistence depends entirely upon fragile trust or looming betrayal. Within the troop, the male baboon inherits a social network from his maternal lineage. He learns the art of interaction with the most influential figures beneath the sanctuary of his family. Yet, as testosterone begins to surge, a divergence emerges. He departs from his mother's embrace more rapidly than his sisters, initiating periods of practice with peers in play that foreshadows a demanding future. In the formidable savanna regions, species belonging to the COKY group, including chakma baboons, olive baboons, and yellow baboons, require their sons to depart the troop upon reaching maturity. Conversely, in multi-level societies such as those of the Guinea baboon or Hamadryas baboon, the males choose to remain. They establish a more cohesive empire where ancestral bonds diminish the occurrence of severe confrontations. Within the baboon kingdom, the bonds among males fluctuate significantly according to the culture of each species. For the chakma baboon, the troop operates as a resolute regime. Males demonstrate their vitality to establish the social order. For the olive baboon and yellow baboon, troops represent fluctuating social markets. Subordinate males establish temporary coalitions to challenge the lead figure, so that when the alpha falters, the opportunity to approach females belongs to the most resourceful individual. As for the Guinea baboon, the troop is a rare sanctuary of harmony. Here, connections among males are established upon equity and longevity, regardless of ancestral ties. Yet regardless of the social framework, beneath the imposing presence of the alpha male lies a significant toll. They endure elevated levels of glucocorticoids. Continuous confrontations and the pressure of maintaining their standing cause them to undergo epigenetic aging more rapidly than any other in the troop. These sovereigns typically experience a more concise existence and a weathered countenance in exchange for a few brief years of governance over the realm. To preserve connections and alleviate tension, male baboons engage in high-stakes diddling greeting rituals. This conduct follows the bond-testing hypothesis, where daring to offer one's vulnerability to another serves as a testament of trust. In sociable species like the Guinea baboon, diddling occurs frequently in a relaxed manner, with full physical interaction in 93.4% of instances. Meanwhile, in the olive baboon and yellow baboon, the ritual remains hesitant and inquisitive. As for the more assertive species like the chakma, diddling is scarce, occurring only 0.088 times per hour, and as many as 65% of these interactions are abandoned midway because the risk of a severe physical encounter is simply too great. Yet another dry season has passed. During its final weeks, the grasses of the Katisunga plains have turned an ash-gray hue, brittle and prone to ignition. The scent of saline dust mingles with the aroma of natural decay to create a heavy atmosphere. This is the moment to determine who shall continue to compose the next chapter of the lineage. Situated in seclusion in western Tanzania, Katavi, covering 4,471 square kilometers, is one of Africa's most pristine and untouched sanctuaries. Local residents believe that Katavi is named after Katabi, a legendary hunter. He has become a sacred spirit, whose presence is said to still dwell within the tamarind trees. It is recounted that Katabi and his wife continue to watch over this landscape, witnessing the continuity of existence through the centuries. The geography of Katavi is shaped by the Katuma River and two parched lake beds, Katavi and Rukwa. During the rainy season, this is a lush sanctuary with immense flooded plains. Yet in October, the peak of the dry season, the Katuma River remains only as a dense stretch of silt, heavy with the scent of sulfur and organic remains. Temperatures can exceed 40 degrees Celsius, transforming the air into a dense thermal veil that tests the resolve of every living soul. The water has run dry, but testosterone is boiling. Male impalas no longer have time for idle wandering. They stand on the threshold of a great upheaval. Under the harshest ecological conditions, they shift to the lek system. It is simply a stage to display raw power and compete for the attention of the females. To intimidate rivals and attract mates, the male impala possesses a retractable larynx. It allows them to extend their vocal tract by an additional 91 millimeters, creating thunderous roars and snorts that echo up to 2 kilometers away. When the females appear, the ritual begins. Through the flamen response, the male identifies those ready to mate. But the throne is constantly stalked by aspirant males. They wait for the moment the territorial male is preoccupied with driving off rivals to execute sneak matings. A dark humiliation for the lord of the land, yet the cunning wisdom of the outsider. The throne at the impala's lek is a slow sentence of physical decline. Dominance comes with a massive physiological toll that renders the duration of territorial possession brief, lasting less than 4 months in some regions. To assert authority, the male must constantly deter bachelors and react vigorously toward any perceived intrusions. Fat reserves vanish, and body mass undergoes a severe reduction. He no longer has time for social grooming, leaving his body vulnerable to a tick population 6 times higher than that of the females. The loss of vitality is the price paid to ensure the lineage continues. Upon reaching total fatigue or facing displacement, the individual enters a transitional phase lasting about 1 week. He maintains a facade of assertiveness, but no longer possesses a territory. It is a bitter state of limbo before officially reintegrating into the bachelor herd to rest, recover, and await the next breeding season. Yet the challenges do not only arise from his own kind. In areas heavily impacted by illegal harvesting, human pressure has distorted the very fabric of social structure. As hornless females are sought after, multi-gender herds decline sharply, leaving behind massive bachelor groups characterized by heightened vigilance. They are forced to temper their internal rivalries, altering their biological rhythms to evade the presence of those who hunt them. While the impala endure their exhaustion within the lek arena, a different ritual of power unfolds across the savanna. This is a struggle that bypasses horns, utilizing heavy necks that function like massive sledgehammers. Upon entering adolescence, instinctive urges begin to compel the male giraffe to seek connection with his own kind. He departs from his mother's side to join wandering bachelor groups. These groups assist him in mitigating the stress of predatory pressure, where many eyes are always better than one. As he approaches 3 years, the age of reproductive maturity, a rigorous transformation begins. The environment and testosterone sculpt the male giraffe's form into that of a true warrior. Distinct from the slender appearance of the female, the male giraffe develops a wider neck, and his forelegs become robust to serve as a stable foundation. Over the years, the neck and skull also continuously increase in weight. The ossicones and the protruding frontal ridge or middle horn elevate, turning the head into a sledgehammer of solid bone. Based on the rigor of time and muscle, male giraffe society is divided into 3 ranks: C, B, and A. Among them, rank A represents the dominant sovereigns, those possessing the thickest necks and the heaviest skulls. The relationship between these giants is maintained through a ritual of power known as necking. Younger males approach one another with a certain gentleman etiquette. An unusual respect exists here. Each individual has a preferred side, and they consistently honor the preferred side of their opponent. This serves as a way to diffuse social tension without the cost of physical harm. However, when mating rights are challenged, this politeness vanishes. Seasoned rank A. Veterans always understand how to position their striking angles to maximize the momentum of the bony sledgehammer atop their heads. Male giraffes do not rule over a fixed territory. They are roving males, traversing vast landscapes in search of opportunity. Since females display no obvious signs of estrus, the male giraffes must analyze pheromones through the Flamen response, and at times a surge of testosterone erupts during brief rut periods lasting 2 weeks. They become their most assertive and intense selves to optimize the chance of continuing their lineage before physical exhaustion sets in. Following these rigorous confrontations, the savanna requires tranquility. A complex behavioral system is established to stabilize order. The behavior of male-male mounting serves as a social mechanism to soothe tension and define hierarchy after a victor is determined. Alongside this are gestures of friendly bonding. Deep individual friendships exist among male giraffes. The dominant sovereigns will sometimes mentor several subordinate individuals, creating a resilient social network beneath the scorching sun of the savanna. If the elephant kingdom possessed a sacred temple, it would be Mana Pools, a place where the Zambezi River flows not only through the earth, but through the very soul of the Zimbabwean wilderness. The most rigorous period at Mana Pools arrives at the end of the dry season. Suicide Month. Temperatures can exceed 45 degrees Celsius. This is when Mana Pools reveals its most unforgiving face. A strange transformation begins to take hold within the largest of creatures, Must. After being displaced from the family unit, the male elephant joins a fission-fusion society. Here, the herds are not fixed. The size and composition of the group expand and contract like a living organism, depending on which waterholes remain and who holds authority. But when Must strikes, all former hierarchies are swept away. Testosterone levels soar to 60 times their normal state. In this condition, a smaller or lower-ranking male may temporarily displace a much larger rival, turning a former sovereign into a refugee within his own domain. The dark temporine secretion leaking from the temporal glands serves as a warning signal. When two Must giants encounter one another, with tons of weight and chemical-induced intensity, 90% of these clashes will result in a loss of life. In the elephant kingdom, growth is perpetual. They continue to increase in body size and ivory mass throughout their entire lives, which can span up to 65 years. The harsh environment forces each age group to choose its own gamble to maintain the lineage. The veterans over 35 years of age opt for a high competition strategy with month-long periods of Must that exhaust their vitality. They invest their entire energy into seeking, protecting, and monopolizing the female herds. Meanwhile, the young warriors aged 20 to 30 are not yet large enough to face the seasoned giants head-on. Therefore, they choose the sneaker strategy, a state of sexually active non-must. They spend 70% of the year lingering on the periphery, taking advantage of moments when the sovereigns are preoccupied with combat to mate discreetly. A humble yet effective tactic that still contributes 20 to 30% of the calves to the next generation without the cost of their existence. As the must storm of the grey giants subsides, the Kruger Savanna in South Africa welcomes a different kind of impulse, quieter yet filled with a formidable intensity. At 5 years of age, the instinct to conquer begins to flourish. However, their bodies remain too underdeveloped compared to the dominance of the sovereigns ruling the primary herd. These sub-adult males are compelled to depart from the group. They form small bachelor groups, ranging from 2 to 20 individuals. They require time and space to refine their body mass and forge the boss atop their heads, one of the critical elements in determining male status. In Kruger, these bachelor groups choose to inhabit dense riverine areas for nutritional purposes. Here, the lush, protein-rich vegetation allows them to reduce their travel distance by 30%. This enables the body to concentrate its entire energy on developing muscle and physical scale. Within the bachelor groups, the young males resolve conflicts through rituals of stature. These visual demonstrations are a final effort to limit unnecessary harm among companions. Yet when mating ambitions emerge and warnings are disregarded, the force of the collision is equivalent to a vehicle impacting a wall at 50 kilometers per hour. The defeated individual must withdraw with critical wounds, yielding the opportunity to the one possessing the thickest horn cap. Leaving behind the physical struggles of the giants, let us return to the shadows of the Sabi Sands region in South Africa. Within the realm of thickets and dry riverbeds, where the moonlight is barely sufficient to illuminate watchful gazes, the male leopard emerges as an entity of paradox. When a wandering male secures a territory or a new conqueror displaces an old dynasty, he brings with him a haunting presence. Infanticide is a widely recognized behavior among the lion species. Yet in reality, the leopard is also among the predators with some of the highest recorded rates of this occurrence. Beyond the primary objective of securing genetic legacy and encouraging the female to begin a new cycle, this practice among leopards also serves as a supplemental nutritional resource. This behavior accounts for approximately 40 to 52% of the losses among young leopards and claims the lives of nearly 1/3 of the total population of leopard cubs born. Yet the male leopard is not always a formidable tyrant. Within the dense population of the Sabi Sands, internal territorial struggles are ill-advised. To ensure survival, they have evolved a remarkable system of spatial management, relaxed territoriality. Contrary to the notion of spatial dictators, the territories of male leopards here may overlap by 25 to 46%. The secret lies in a timeshare strategy. Through a system of olfactory messages, they remain aware of a rival's location. Rather than engaging in a confrontation that risks severe physical compromise, they choose to alternate their use of shared areas at different times. It is a silent pact, a calculated restraint to ensure both can pursue their prey without the toll of physical harm. Yet, the most remarkable phenomenon within this realm of shadows is the capacity for kin recognition. As a male leopard advances in age and his authority begins to be eroded by time, severity is replaced by the tolerance of a paternal figure. Rather than displacing potential rivals, the mature male leopard occasionally permits his son to remain within the territory after he has achieved independence. It is a quiet investment in the future, where the experience of the previous generation guides the strength of the next. It creates a rare, peaceful succession within a world often defined by rigorous eliminations. Yet, while the elusive spirits of the Sabi sands quietly share their realm within the shadows, across the expansive plains, an age-old rivalry continues to ignite with unwavering intensity. In the Serengeti theater of struggle, no sustenance comes without a cost. Here, every portion of sustenance is secured at the expense of one's own vitality, and every breath represents an exhilarating triumph. As resources diminish, the hunters do not merely pursue their quarry. They seek out one another. This is the most ancient competition on the planet, unfolding within the heart of the Ngorongoro crater. Here, hyenas are masters of psychological strategy. They never expend energy on futile pursuits across the plains if they can collect a toll from the labors of others. When a solitary individual emits a cackle or a howl, it serves as the signal to assemble the ranks. Irrespective of hierarchy, they employ the tactic of mobbing. These creatures gather to engage at high-risk proximity within a range of only 1 to 2 meters. Possessing a bite force of up to 1,100 pounds per square inch, surpassing that of even a lion, they effortlessly clear the landscape of any remains, optimizing every final calorie. It requires only 4 hyenas to cause a lioness to falter, yet between 10 to 12 are necessary to challenge a manned sovereign. This is the moment the sovereign demonstrates his power and standing. If the hyena's cackle serves as a psychological disruption, then the male lion's roar is a profound vocal assertion. At close range, a roar reaching 114 decibels can resonate through the eardrums and vibrate the chest of the opponent. Physically dominant, a mature male lion weighs over 220 kilograms, more than 2.5 times the mass of the largest female hyena. He does not require numbers. He possesses the strength to subdue an intruder with a single swipe. Faced with him, hyenas rarely venture into direct confrontation. Within the Ngorongoro, hyenas may successfully secure a prize 100% of the time when facing only lionesses. But that figure falls to 0 if at least one male lion appears. Notably, the male lion does not merely serve a defensive role. They are the ones who proactively initiate these more vigorous encounters. Understanding the matriarchal social structure of their perennial rival, they do not expend energy pursuing lower-ranking hyenas. Instead, they employ a strategy known as a decapitation strike. Amidst the commotion, the male lion maintains a cool composure to identify the matriarch, the one directing the vocalizations and the tempo of the engagement. Once the queen is overcome or withdraws, the entire assembly of 30 individuals collapses into a disorganized crowd and retreats. If one were to select a location where the boundary between hunter and quarry is most blurred, it would be the plains bordering Lake Manyara in Tanzania. In this arena, the quarry is not the fleeing antelope, but the African buffalo. In this struggle, the lionesses serve as the masterful directors of tactical positioning. Meanwhile, the male lion acts as the ultimate enforcer. The presence of the dark-maned sovereign serves but a single purpose: to overcome these towering giants. Biomass statistics indicate that buffalo constitute up to 56% of the male lion's diet. Whereas for the lionesses, this figure stands at only 33%. A mature male buffalo weighing 900 kilograms is a rigorous challenge for females that weigh less than half that amount. The buffalo is more than mere sustenance. It is a measure of prowess. A male lion cannot sustain his throne without the abundant energy provided by Africa's most persistent herbivore. A buffalo hunt is a strategic operation calculated to the very last breath. The lionesses take on the roles of reconnaissance and disruption. Without the need for deep concealment, the male lion enters the fray with the force of a gravity anchor. The most distinctive role of the male lion in buffalo hunts is the muzzle clamp technique. The buffalo possesses an exceptionally thick neck hide and robust musculature protecting the larynx, rendering the lioness's typical throat hold ineffective. The male lion, with his superior jaw strength, opts for a bold frontal approach. This is a contest of strategy and endurance. The male must maintain his hold while the buffalo vigorously tosses its horns to dislodge its adversary. Only the persistence and absolute strength of mature males can ensure this anchor remains unbroken. Nevertheless, glory always accompanies profound risk. A minor tactical error or a moment of complacency, and the sovereign may pay the ultimate price. In this theater of conflict, the odds of prevailing are only 50-50. If lions are the sovereigns of the art of encirclement, then the African buffalo are the mobile fortresses that remain unyielding. The river basins of Botswana are where fertile floodplains nestled between the Kalahari Desert and the deep Blue River create a flashpoint of contention. Here, the African buffalo is known as the ebony shadow, a source of profound trepidation for both hunters and the most prideful sovereigns. The environment in Chobe during the dry season is exceptionally rigorous. As water sources diminish, the buffalo are compelled to gather into massive herds of thousands of individuals. The mature males serve as living shields, operating a militarized defensive system that few predators dare to encounter head-on. When the presence of a predator is felt, the buffalo do not choose to retreat in disarray. Dominant males emit deep bellows, mobilizing the herd to establish the wall of horns formation. The boss structure functions as an armored helmet, transforming each buffalo into an impenetrable fortress against the lion's advances. The most striking characteristic of the male buffalo is their altruistic spirit and persistent resolve. If a herd member is intercepted by lions rather than fleeing, the lead males often initiate a full-scale counter-response. Documentary footage from Chobe has recorded male buffalo persistently surrounding lions in trees for many hours, merely awaiting an opportunity to execute a retaliatory encounter. Yet away from the primary herd, the narrative shifts toward a more somber tone. These bachelor groups opt for a lifestyle defined by constant compromise. The riverine thickets offer an abundance of sustenance, while simultaneously serving as a prime stalking ground for lions. Without the benefit of thousands of watchful eyes and the sheltering wall of horns, a male within a bachelor group faces a likelihood of being intercepted 5 to 7 times greater than those within the main herd. In effect, these bachelor groups serve as a poignant buffer for the species. Positioned in the unforgiving peripheries, they absorb the majority of predatory pressure on behalf of the breeding herd. The sanctuary, where the essential genetic legacy of the future is preserved. Remaining secure here demands an extraordinary level of vigilance. When faced with no retreat, they transform into resolute defenders. The African buffalo has imparted a lesson to the savanna. The most formidable is not necessarily the one with the sharpest fangs, but the one with the greatest resolve to safeguard their companions. Yet, the savanna still harbors other bachelor groups. those who lack overwhelming force, yet possess sophisticated multi-species alliance strategies. The Makgadikgadi Basin in Botswana is among the largest salt pans on Earth. Here, mirages can deceive even the most discerning eyes. In local culture, this is known as a land of trial. When young males are displaced from the breeding herds, they are pushed into these peripheral reaches. The grass is more arid, water is scarce, and lions remain ever vigilant in their search for sustenance. Yet, within this exclusion, a sophisticated defensive framework has taken shape. Lacking the protection of a sovereign, these bachelors must transform themselves into a collective intelligence network. In bachelor groups, periods of rest are a luxury. Research on zebra populations indicates that bachelor males dedicate up to 27% of daylight hours solely to vigilance. This rate is significantly higher than that of family herds overseen by a protective leader. They operate according to a rotational sentry mechanism. Meanwhile, within the riverine thickets, groups of bachelor buffalo rely on a specialized radar. Oxpeckers. This bird species not only removes parasites, but also functions as an early warning system. In these moments, the experience of seasoned males guides the group to utilize the terrain. They proactively move toward deeper waters, an environment that lions find particularly daunting. Here, the physical power and stability of the buffalo within the mud become an absolute advantage. Additionally, they may maneuver those following them into confined spaces where speed is neutralized and the pursuers become vulnerable to formidable responses from the horns. In the Makgadikgadi, bachelor zebra groups never wander in isolation. They operate according to a mixed species association strategy. They proactively integrate with herds of wildebeest or giraffe to leverage their respective biological advantages. This is known as the many eyes effect. Within this structure, the giraffe serves as a mobile watchtower with an elevated vantage point. The zebra possesses exceptional nocturnal vision and maintains a level of vigilance spanning 27% of daylight hours, twice as high as when situated within family herds. The wildebeest contributes a keen sense of smell, capable of detecting the presence of a predator from a distance. They have no requirement to visually confirm the lion's presence. They rely upon this intelligence network to secure 30 precious seconds for their retreat. When intercepted or pursued across the open plains, zebra groups employ the motion dazzle strategy. The seeker of sustenance is unable to isolate a single target within a shifting labyrinth of stripes. And when faced with no retreat, the instinct of these bachelors shifts from withdrawal to preemptive offense. They engage with the intensity of those who possess nothing more to lose. Across the great Savanna, time remains the only adversary that cannot be overcome. Those who once reigned through absolute physical prowess must eventually confront an unrelenting destiny, a state of decline. Yet at the threshold of fading, they realize their final instrument is no longer found in tooth or claw, nor in raw force, but in wisdom and the legacies bequeathed to the next generation. A society sustained not by dominance, but through an ancient system of mentorship. For nearly the first decade of life, the existence of young bull elephants is a sheltered paradise within a matriarchal society. They live beneath the immense shadows and the complete protection of their mothers and grandmothers. As time passes, ivory tusks begin to emerge. Entering the stage of adolescence, these young males are no longer permitted to remain at the heart of the herd. Now, they navigate the perimeter of the group, satellites to the matriarchal family. A quiet preparation for a world where vitality and wisdom are the only currencies of value. By age 14, testosterone transforms these dutiful sons into impulsive, assertive figures. At this stage, the departure is resolute yet inevitable. To preserve the integrity of the lineage, they must depart. The young bulls gradually sever their ties. Occasionally, they join temporary bachelor groups as wanderers, yet at times, they still return to visit the maternal herd. Upon reaching age 18, the transition is complete. Beneath the slope, the bull officially enters the society of solitary gentlemen, right through brute force. From here, the elephant embarks on a journey of self-discovery, of seeking his rank among the giants. Is navigated through the most ancient educational framework of the Savanna, the mentorship system. Distinct from the dominance of the great cats, male elephants lead through consensus. Researchers have documented infrasound vocalizations emitted by key males. This is the art of proactive leadership. There is no compulsion, only trust in a guide who has endured dozens of seasons of scarcity. Mature males serve as a biological keystone that prevents disorder. When adolescent males are displaced from the matriarchal herd at 14 years of age, they enter a state of psychological distress. Cortisol levels surge, rendering them impulsive and unpredictable. In South Africa, conservation history has recorded instances of young males maturing without the guidance of mentors. They brought a somber chapter to over 40 white rhinoceros without provocation during the intensity of their adolescence. The turbulence only concluded when older elephants were introduced to re-establish stability. The presence of these veterans helps suppress premature musth and soothes the psyche of the youth and instructs them on how to evaluate the genuine level of environmental challenges. Within Zulu culture, a true male elephant is known as Indlovu, unwavering strength accompanied by wisdom. As they mature under the tutelage of advisors, the personalities of the males begin to diversify. They are no longer forceful mirrors of one another, but become individuals who are composed, amicable, or deliberately influential. The most successful elephants are the keystone males. They are the foundation stones who balance authority to safeguard hierarchy with friendliness to maintain social bonds. Interestingly, the presence of the youth also benefits the elders, reducing irritability and enhancing nurturing behaviors, creating a resilient generational cycle. For male buffalo that have passed the age of 12, the glory of leading the herd is merely an echo of hoofbeats within the dust of the past. Displaced by those who are younger and more robust, they are pushed out of the breeding herd, returning to a solitary existence or gathering in small, secluded groups. They are known as the Daga boys. In the Zulu and Shona languages, Daga means mud. This name describes both their appearance and a tactical survival strategy for their final years. At the stagnant pools or moist marshes of the Kruger region, the environment becomes both their sanctuary and their fortress. The thick layer of mud covering their thinning hides not only helps them withstand the scorching sun of the Savanna, but also serves as a soothing balm against the irritation of parasites. Yet within that substantial frame lies a spirit forged through decades of intense struggle. Lacking the protection of the herd, the Daga boys employ preemptive offense, a proactive measure to ensure that the specter of loss never has the chance to mature. The boss atop their forehead has now become as firm as cold steel, shielding the brain from direct lunges. Lions soon realize that engaging the head of a Daga boy is a futile endeavor, forcing them to target the hind legs or flanks. This is why these veterans often bear numerous scars on their haunches and sides. Crimson medals of honor proving they have used absolute strength to repel the most confident of predators. A temperament that is irritable, unpredictable, and assertive makes the Daga boys some of Africa's most formidable and imposing creatures. Though solitary in the twilight of their lives, they remain incredibly resilient. standing firm within their mud pools as unyielding monuments of existence. For the lion, it is a somber concluding chapter. For a manned sovereign, the crimson sky serves as a warning of waning influence. The physical prowess that once allowed him to rule the realm has now become a burden under the weight of time. On this Savanna, crowns and thrones are never granted in perpetuity. It is merely a debt that every monarch must settle with his own existence. While females may enjoy a longer duration, the average lifespan of a wild sovereign spans only 8 to 10 years. Rarely does an individual surpass the 12-year mark while still retaining his throne. As agility diminishes, as old injuries from buffalo pursuits begin to ache, the empire starts to fracture. The Savanna environment now becomes more uncompromising than ever. Young, robust, and ambitious male alliances emerge from the thickets. They do not arrive to negotiate, they arrive to displace. The result is a rigorous transition of power. The one overcome, should he survive, will be stripped of everything: territory, the pride, and even his dignity. He is pushed to the social periphery, returning to the solitary nomadic existence of his youth. But this time, with a compromised frame. Those displaced must now learn to scavenge, competing for remnants with the hyena clans they once disregarded. And the final irony of fate often concludes beneath the horns of the very quarry he once pursued. A dagger boy can easily bring an end to the journey of a monarch who has lost his throne. This is the balance of the Savanna. He who once stood atop the food chain now returns to the earth beneath the feet of former rivals. The struggle of males on the Savanna is an epic of vitality and dust. Yet, nature is not limited to a single hue. In other secluded reaches of the planet, the bonds between males are articulated in entirely different languages. Departing from the searing radiance of the Savanna and the resonant calls of the terrestrial giants, on the westernmost fringe of the Australian continent, the crimson desert of the wild abruptly meets the Indian Ocean. Shark Bay is a UNESCO-recognized World Heritage Site. The indigenous Malgana people call this place Gutharaguda, meaning two waters. The history of Shark Bay is linked to the maritime journeys of Dutch explorers from the 17th century, leaving inscribed pewter plates on Dirk Hartog Island. But what truly establishes the renown of this bay is its ethereal ecosystem. The world's most extensive seagrass meadows covering more than 4,000 kilometers squared, and the presence of living fossils known as stromatolites, stony structures developed by bacteria over billions of years. Here, bottlenose dolphins facilitate the most sophisticated multi-level coalitions in the animal kingdom. First-order alliances are pairs or trios of devoted males working together to guide and safeguard a single female. Second-order alliances are larger collectives assembled from first-order groups to recruit females from other pods or provide protection against interventions. While lion alliances are organized kinships relying on bloodlines to secure female groups, male bottlenose dolphins are strategic social collectives. They employ bonds forged through physical interaction and unique signature whistles to uphold loyalty. A social framework far more adaptable than the structured hierarchies of the great cats. Nestled at the foot of the Ruwenzori Mountains of the Moon and belonging to the western branch of the Albertine Rift Valley, Kibale is a biological stronghold spanning 795 kilometers squared. This location hosts the highest primate density on the planet. Historically, Kibale has been a sanctuary for the local Baturo people, who have coexisted with their forest siblings for centuries. It also serves as the foundation for some of the longest-standing studies on chimpanzee society, exemplified by the massive Ngogo community. Within Ugandan culture, chimpanzees are regarded as entities possessing human spirits contained within a wild form. They possess an intellect and a capacity for strategy that occasionally proves more profound than our own. The physical prowess of a male chimpanzee accounts for only 50% of the potential to attain alpha status. The remaining 50% resides in diplomacy. While the baboon utilizes the high-risk ritual of diddling to challenge trust, the chimpanzee employs a social market. If baboons are authoritarian politicians, then chimpanzees are master lobbyists, where influence is secured through a keen understanding of their peers' psychology. A less physically imposing male chimpanzee can displace a much larger rival if he understands how to win over allies through food sharing or hours of grooming. This is a society of verbal contracts and political realignments prepared meticulously within the shadows. In the forests of Central America, a remarkable ritual unfolds upon the branches. Two male mannequins coordinate a highly sophisticated performance to attract a female, yet only the alpha male is granted the opportunity to mate. Within the impala's lek system, each male is a solitary contender, striving for his own advantage. But for the mannequin, there exists a state of absolute cooperation. The supporting beta male accepts the role of a bakanchi. Background performer for his companion for many years without any reproductive benefits. This is essentially a vital apprenticeship. He remains to master the intricate dance sequences and await the moment the alpha passes away to inherit that prestigious stage. Returning to the African savanna, as the sun descends below the Serengeti horizon, it is time to conclude the journey of the monarchs. But upon this rigorous landscape, the end of the cycle is never the final destination. A quiet miracle is unfolding: succession. A successful male lion does not measure his legacy by the number of victories he has secured, but by the seeds of life he leaves behind. Throughout a decade of turbulent reign, a monarch may leave a legacy of 20 to 30 offspring. This is the figure of immortality. His lineage, his resolve, and the memories of his pride are all encoded within these new lives. The fading of the aging veterans is a necessary transition. It makes room for new vitality, preventing the stagnation of the ecosystem and ensuring that the wheel of evolution never ceases to turn. The relationships among the males of the savanna are a labyrinth of paradoxes. They are articulated not only through vivid scars, but through silent understanding and absolute loyalty. Within this struggle for existence, nature has imparted a profound lesson. The most formidable is not necessarily the most solitary. True power resides in the awareness to know when to stand alone like a wandering spirit and when to remain alongside companions like a wall of steel. This is the social code, the unspoken rule that assists the males in enduring the relentless progression of time. However, in the 21st century, the operating system of the savanna faces an unprecedented challenge. According to 2024 data from the International Union for Conservation of Nature and the Worldwide Fund for Nature, the African lion population has declined by 43% in just 21 years. Approximately 23,000 individuals currently remain in the wild. They have lost 94% of their historical range. The Great Elephant Census also confirms that we are losing 8% of the elephant population annually, primarily due to illegal harvesting and land disputes. With fewer than 7,000 individuals remaining, the cheetah is racing toward the end of its species' existence faster than the pursuit of its own quarry. The loss of the males, particularly bachelor groups and aging mentors, represents the collapse of a functional framework. Science identifies this as top-down regulation. When lions or leopards vanish, herbivore populations expand without restraint, resulting in the depletion of vegetation and compromising the integrity of river basins, such as the Okavango or Chobe. In particular, research from the University of Exeter spanning 2020 to 2024 confirms safeguarding mature male elephants is the preservation of a social genetic library. The absence of lead males results in the dissolution of social order and a rise in unconventional intensity among young elephants, presenting risks to humans and other species such as the rhinoceros. Yet alongside this, conservation efforts exist to redefine the future. At Namiri and the Serengeti, artificial intelligence camera systems can identify individual cheetahs via spot patterns with 98% accuracy, assisting scientists in monitoring stress levels, and the well-being of bachelor groups remotely without physical interference. Projects at Amboseli have also helped reduce the rate of elephant loss due to encounters with farmers by 75% through the use of beehive fences and early warning systems based on the satellite tracking of lead males. The verdant savanna requires no pity. It demands only our understanding. Every battle-scarred dagger boy, every deposed sovereign wandering through the night, and every elder mentor teaching the youth the secrets of the water. They are all irreplaceable fragments of the magnificent tapestry we call life. Our true legacy is not found in the photographs captured from the seat of a safari jeep. It is the commitment that 50 years from now, the roar of kings will still vibrate the Serengeti soil, and the walls of horns will still stand firm against the dust storms of Etosha. Among these diverse brotherhoods, from the calculating dolphin pods to the unyielding buffalo veterans, which bond do you believe is the most enduring and formidable? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this journey insightful, don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our next exploration into the heart of the wild.